The trees in our orchard are bearing tons of fruit, and they are all ripe, from mandarins, lemons, grapefruit, so it's marmalade time. But we are starting with oranges because it's my favorite.
That's the best weekend breakfast ever.
I mean, crispy toast, homemade orange marmalade over top.
It doesn't get better.
It's the perfect bite. Trust me on that. We are starting out with 6 kilos of navel oranges from our own garden, thoroughly washed, and they are big boys, these. They're beautiful. First thing is we want to take some of the peel. Just use a potato peeler. Take out some of the peel here, like this. And then we're going to stack it. And then we're going to cut it julienne into thin strips, because we want that in the marmalade both for flavor but also for presentation. That looks good and it gives a nice texture to them. So cut them into strips like this, julienne. All of this goes in. We did about half. That goes straight into our big pot here. And then we move on with the oranges themselves. Now we're going to cut off each end like this. And then we're going to cut off all the white part of the, I don't know what you call that actually. Do you know that?
No, the white part of the skin.
Yeah, the white part of the skin. Anyway, you want to get rid of most of this with your knife. Just take it around like this, because this is very bitter. You will get some bitterness from the zest or the peel, but this needs to go.
But you know, this white part has a unique vitamin called pepper. You can't find it anywhere else apart from the citrus fruits, from what I've read.
And that's actually where pectin comes from.
Oh, really?
The thickening agent we're going to use when we
It comes
prepare
from this white part.
Yes, and you can extract it yourself if you have the time and the patience. But
or you can buy it like we did.
Then we split it up like this into, let's say this is a big one, so I probably will cut it into a little bit more, 6 parts I would say. And there are no seeds in this. Then the white stem in the middle here, also get rid of that. And then we cut them into 3 pieces each, chunks like this, and they go straight into a pot. What we didn't mention before is that as these are from our garden, there are no pesticides, there are no wax.
They're 100% biological.
Yeah. If you are unfortunate enough, you only can get waxed oranges, then you will have to rinse them with salt first, where you rub them with salt to get the wax off. But if you can get the real biological deal here, then do that. And that's the last of our oranges into the pot, and the scraps into our bowl. And now we want to measure out how much we have of scraps, so that we're sure we have the right analogy between our net weight here and the sugar we're going to add. And we have exactly 2 kilos. 2 kilos of scraps, so we have 6 kilos from the beginning, so we have 4 kilos of oranges here. And since we're going in with a 50% sugar here, it's easy, it's 2 bags of sugar. So many of the recipes out there, they call for 1-to-1, but it becomes way too sweet for us. This will be a nice mixture, I'm sure. So 2 kilos of sugar. And now it's going to be a little bit labor intensive, because now we have to stir this until all the sugar is dissolved. That will take a couple of minutes. Give me my daily exercise. And when things are looking like this and all the sugar is dissolved, then the last step right now is that we want to add the juice of a couple of lemons, maybe 3, depending how juicy they are. You want to have some lemon juice in there to just increase a little bit the acidity. The oranges are very sweet this year, actually.
We also have too many lemons. You think we can make a lemon marmalade?
We are going to make a lemon marmalade. Trust me, it's real, it's a thing, and we're going to do it.
It is, okay.
Yes, it is. So, in with the lemon juice, like that. Give it a quick stir, so it's nice and combined. Now there are 2 ways you can go about this. Either you can leave it at room temperature for 4 hours to macerate, or you can add it to your fridge and leave it overnight to macerate. The overnight maceration gives a more mellow out of tastes, and it takes down the bitterness a little bit more. But if you're in a rush, do it in 4 hours. But we will see you tomorrow. Well, it's the next day, and it's a beautiful sunny winter day here. And now you see how this has macerated nicely. And by the way, it smells fantastic. But you see how much juice has come out here, how the water level has increased. This is perfect. Now we want to start this on low flame, and then we're going to bring it slowly up to a simmer, because if you put it too warm, then you burn the sugar. So let it come up to a simmer, and when we start seeing it simmering around the edges here, we're going to crank up the heat, and then we're going to add pectin. And you want to add 3 to 8 grams per kilo, depending how thick you want your marmalade at the end. I'm going with 3 grams per kilo because I don't want it to be that thick. So here we have 4 kilos of fruit, 12 grams of pectin. If you don't have a scale, that's 2 teaspoons. So 2 teaspoons of pectin. And we stir that in, and then we're going to bring it to a vigorous boil, and we're going to let it boil for probably 45 minutes to an hour until we have the consistency we want. I'll show you when we get there. Here we are, an hour in. The water has evaporated and we got a beautiful dark orange color on this and a nice thickness to it. So now we're going to kill the heat, and then we're going to let this cool down a little bit, because this is sugar boiling. So this is probably 115, 120 degrees. You want to take it down maybe to 80, 85 before we jar it. But that's about the point. You want to put it in jars so you don't break the glass when it's too hot, and still you don't get any problems with bacteria or mold or anything like that. Here we have a beautiful marmalade and some jars we have sanitized. So now we start filling them up. And as you can see, this is kind of chunky because it is a marmalade and not a jam. If you would want to make jam, you could put an immersion blender. But marmalade is characterized by having chunks of fruit in it, and that's what I like. We have cooled it down just below 100 degrees, and then we fill up our jar and we close it immediately, because then it will vacuum seal itself. I'm going to fill up the rest, then we're going to put it in the fridge so we can see you for a taste test. Everything is cooled down and it looks fantastic, and look at the consistency after it cooled down. That's, for me, perfect marmalade consistency. Not too thick, not too thin. So
looks
it can,
impressive, actually.
it's very good. And then on a crunchy piece of toast, as we talked about in the beginning, see how it keeps a nice layer there? It's perfect. Can't wait. That's perfect breakfast toast. With that marmalade, it has a little backdrop of bitterness. It's not bitter at all, like, overpowering, but it has that backdrop of that bitterness you want in marmalade, orange marmalade. It's just perfect. As said, if you want to like a jam, you can blend it a little bit. But I find that a pity, because this consistency, perfection. Give it a shot.